Attorney General of the Army to file additional processes in response to Kanu's filing, which was done on Tuesday. The Apex Court said even if it proceeds to hear the appeal, there is no space within its calendar to write and deliver the verdict within the 90-day deadline. The Court of Appeal had earlier granted a stay of execution on its verdict, which discharged Kanu of terrorism charges filed against him by the federal government. In a unanimous decision by a three-member panel led by Justice Aaron Osamani, the appeal court granted the application filed by the federal government pending the hearing and determination of the appeal before the Supreme Court. Kanu has been in detention since it was brought back from Kenya on June 19, 2021. The Ohanese Indigo has called on President Muhammadu Buhari to release the detained leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu. This appeal came on Thursday from the new president of the Apex Igbo Social Political Group, Emmanuel Nwanyanwu. He spoke at the flag-off of the pre-dredging and hydrographic survey of the proposed sea access route of the Urashi-Oguta waterways through the Gebe to the Atlantic Ocean. According to him, President Buhari should go do it before he departs office on May 29, 2023, noting that the Igbo nation will be very grateful if that is done. He also dispelled fears that Igbos want to leave the country. Chief Nwanyanwu also lauded Buhari for his love for the Southeast, which is reflected in the number of federal government projects in the region. He has been honored by some Igbo states. In court, I think Imo State has honored him and Ebonyi has honored him. Chief
True to our game, it's time to ignite your passion. Astonishing.
He finds that top corner.
Thrilling.
That's great effort. It's a fabulous goal. What an incredible goal.
Electrifying.
De Bruyne has got a goal.
Invigorating.
How good is he?
Stay in the game. Catch all the upcoming entertainment of this season on SuperSport, only on DSTV.
All right, welcome back. Moving on, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board JAMB has given commitment to provide necessary support to ensure that Nigerian students evacuated from war-torn Sudan and integrated into the nation's universities. The Registrar of JAMB, Professor Ishaq Oloyede, made this known in Abuja when the chairman of Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NITCOM, Mrs. Abike Dabiri Erewa, led others to the exam body's headquarters to discuss modalities for integrating the affected students into tertiary institutions in the country. Correspondent Miriam Enakimo reports that Professor Oloyede, who emphasized with the students, commended NITCOM for the effective handling of their evacuation, adding that JAMB would ensure the desired support. The JAMB boss, however, called on the students not to tread the path of those who returned to the country over a year ago as a result of Ukraine's war, but refused to comply with the stipulated procedures that would have ensured they continue their academic programs seamlessly in Nigerian universities.
In the 2-year stay residency in the university system, legitimately and properly with the cooperation of the National Universities Commission and the individual institutions. The guidelines from JAMB has already been handed over to the chairperson of the commission.
But the key thing is that there are processes to follow, but they are not difficult processes. And that's what we've learned from JAMB. For instance, if an institution, if you apply to institutions are already saying that they want to give support, they want to admit them, but the key thing is follow the processes as stipulated by JAMB. All the information will be on our website, processes to follow, and it shouldn't be too difficult to handle, but the key thing is that JAMB has assured that they will provide the enabling environment and the infrastructure.
Amazing, it's really amazing, and I was impressed. So we try as parents to partner with her to see how our children can go back to school, because our children are ready to go back to school. We don't want them at home, we don't want them to be traumatized. And thanks to JAMB. JAMB is kind of cooperative, and he gave us all the answers that we needed and all the cooperation. And we're happy that our children are going to go back to school as soon as possible.
The Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, has disclosed that over 46.2 billion naira matching grants for the development of public primary and junior secondary schools still remain unaccessed by some state government. The acting executive secretary of UBEC, Professor Bala Zakari, made this disclosure during an oversight visit to the commission by the Senate Committee on Basic and Secondary Education in Abuja, presenting the 2022 Capital Budget Implementation Report. Zakari said a total sum of over 162 billion naira was allocated to the state as UBE grant between 2019 and 2022, while over 116 billion naira was accessed by 36 state and FCT. Further speaking on the levels of UBE matching grant access by state, it said in 2019, 35 state and FCT accessed 2019 allocation, with one state, Anambra, yet to assess the grant as of 30th April 2023. However, on the 2020 matching grant, it said 30 state and FCT have accessed matching grant. 6 states, namely Abia, Adamawa, Anambra, Ebonyi, Kwara, and Ogun, are yet to assess 2020 UBE matching grant as at 30th 2023. Earlier, the chairman, Senate Committee on Basic and Secondary Education, Senator Ibrahim Gaidam, said it was important to ensure that money released by the government is used for the purpose it was released.
Made up of the 15.6 billion. Of this amount, the Commission had been able to get all the 15.6 billion. And the chairman, the distinguished chair, we would like to state that, as you are aware, we received the last part of this disbursement in March 2023. So, since it is an agency that waits for the revenue consideration revenue that is normally given to it. Therefore, in executing the project, it is to be noted that when we get the last tranche in March, all the other projects that we are supposed to give out for implementation have been given out. Hence, we have 100% release from the federal government, and we also awarded a total of 905 consulting projects as indicated on a table on page 9 as far as consulting projects are concerned. And that the project completed so far, out of these 905, 829 have been completed.
Of the appropriation gotten. You were also expected to show us the abridged 2023 proposal, but from the presentation, from what I've seen here, I don't think you have that documentation. What we have here is that of 2022, whether it's been done. Why this is important is to ensure that for each appropriation done, money released by the government of Nigeria, that it is used for the purpose it was meant for, and properly
Irish Smart Technologies Limited, a firm contracted by the federal government for the production of the country's international passport, has accused the Nigerian Security Printing and Minting of sabotaging its effort. The firm also decried the unavailability of foreign exchange to carry out its operations effectively by the Central Bank of Nigeria managing director of the company. Yinka Fisher stated this when he appeared before the House of Representatives at a committee to investigate the proposed domestication and processing of Nigerian international passport. He said government is sabotaging the process due to inability of its agency to secure the contract for the production of the passport. Fisher disclosed that prior to the engagement by the federal government, the country had a shadow passport administration. House of Representatives correspondent Linda Ike reports that the Comptroller General of Immigration, Idris Jere, also identified lack of synergy among companies that the international passport was contracted to.
The project from the beginning was contractor financed. Government did not and have not put in 1 kobo in the passport since the beginning. The funding has been completely by Iris. As a matter of fact, we took a 3 billion naira facility from our bankers to start this project. Up to now, government has still not put a kobo. We get paid for the goods and services we delivered. We don't do revenue sharing. If we deliver 100 booklets, they pay us for 100 booklets. To date, government has made a revenue of over 100 billion naira.
And other devices and equipment must exist within the network for seamless operation for the process not to be interrupted. While it is pertinent to put all the above factors into consideration when transiting to domestication booklet production in Nigeria, it is equally worthy of note that the contract with Irish Smart Technologies, which has been operational since 2007, can be generally adjudged as successful. Except for the occasional booklet scarcity issue, especially during the COVID-19 period, which we all know, there was complete shutdown globally. Hence the need for a seamless.
Remember, these passports are being sold abroad as well, and Nigeria is generating foreign exchange through the sale of these passports. As I believe, if you are there, so far, 200 million US dollars so far generated into the coffers of Nigerian government through the sale of these passports abroad. And in naira equivalent is over 100 billion naira so far accrued. No single kobo. Government did not invest single kobo in that project. These people, they look for money from the bank, they took loan and started this project.
The Association of Nigerian Artisans and Technicians has called on the leadership of the incoming administration for the total overhauling of agencies like Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency and other agencies for an effective and enhanced productivity in the country. Director of Artisans and Technicians Presidential Campaign Council, Honorable Sanusi Rikiji, made the call while addressing journalists in Abuja. Sanusi stated that the association has been neglected in the previous administration and the agency saddled with the responsibility to look after the functionality of artisans and technicians in the country. He commended the leadership of the Tinubu and Shetima Presidential Campaign Council, creating a directorate for Nigeria's artisans and technicians during the 2023 presidential election. He urged Nigerians to desist from sowing seeds of destruction, but rather embrace the peace and unity for a greater nation.
We would like to send out a strict warning to those who are trying to distract the outcome of the presidential election. We are saying it loud and clear that we, the artisans and technicians of Nigeria voted and contributed about 5 million votes to the presidential election. And we are more than ready to defend our votes. Elections have come and gone, and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu won fairly and squarely, and he is now the president-elect. Let us desist from sowing seeds of destruction. Let us, as one Nigeria, embrace peace and unity for a greater nation and for the success of Asiwaju-led administration.
The Deputy Governor of Oyo State, Barrister Bayo Lawal, has lamented the activities of quacks in the estate surveying and valuation profession, which according to him had led to recurrent cases of building collapse, avoidable debt, and injuries which lives in as part tales of sorrows and regrets. The word of assurance from the Deputy Governor is that the current administration would do its utmost in sanitizing the system. Barrister Lawal raised these concerns and many more when he played host to the national leadership of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers during a courtesy visit to his office in Ibadan. Speaking at the event, the Oyo State No. 2 men assured that all machineries would be put in place to put a final stop to this negative trend which had soiled the nation's global image.
Incidentally, most of our people there are also very close to me, and somebody like Toyoshe Lawa and others. We know that which you have turned around the housing corporation during your time there, and what you are still doing.
My concern really then and even now is the incidence of quacks in your profession. You seem not to pay attention to it, because although there's no profession that you don't get quacks, in medical practice you get quacks, in law you get quacks, every other profession you have, but in estate surveyor and valuer profession, you get more quacks than in other years. Because everybody that retires now, either in public service or civil service or private sector, the next thing you see is a hanging signboard, estate consultant, estate. So we must frown at that, because why are we in the universities or polytechnics to acquire knowledge?
The journalist for democratic rights, Joda, has called on all tiers of government, corporate organizations to pay more attention to the plight of those living with disabilities so that they can live a comfortable life with able members of the society. This was part of the decisions reached at one-day training and reporting people living with disabilities organized by Joda with the support of the Ford Foundation West Africa Regional Office held in Lagos. In a communique jointly signed by the executive director of the group, Adewale Adeoye, a veteran journalist, Segun Abifari, David Anyale, among others, it stated that the right of people living with disabilities, PLWDs, is an important human rights issue, and democracy and good governance are not complete without equitable focus on the right of PLWDs. According to the organizers of the workshop, they noted that children living with disabilities are denied access to the essentials of life, including shelter, education, and decent housing, which imposes lack of self-esteem on them as they grow up. The workshop stated that the 2006 national census indicated that more than 3.3 million Nigerians live with disabilities, representing some 2.32% of the population as of the time. The communique stated that the media hereby forms a national media network to advance and promote the socio-economic right of PLWDs in Nigeria.
One of such is our people living with disabilities in Nigeria, who are about 27 million of them. And we hope that one of the ways we can bring this issue to the front burner is to engage the media. in terms of budget making process all over the country. Budgeting has become a kind of yearly ritual. But in terms of content and form, how much percentage are we allocating to people living with disabilities in terms of education? Even when we are talking about housing, environmental planning, most of our public buildings don't conceive that physically challenged people want to use them. When you go to post offices, when you go to car parks, when you go to bus stations, train stations, even our airports, you find out that people that are physically challenged, they are not conceived. In terms of when such projects are being designed, they are not taking their interest into consideration.
But what we are seeing is charity-based approach in doing that. In doing it charity-based, it means that the states do it by reason of compassion, not by law. So we are asking that the state government should take appropriate measure to ensure the full implementation of Lagos State Special Post Law in order for people with disability to benefit maximally. It's a state law.
It is actually ability and disability, and people will know more about visually impaired people, that they are nothing to be afraid of. Like most people intend to be get scared of us when they see us. So
the outcome of the 2023 general elections has continued to generate reactions in the polity as the All Nigerian Auto-Bike Commercial Owners and Workers Association, ANACOA, has added its voice to the call for due process by aggrieved parties and candidates at the polls. Speaking with newsmen on the state of the nation on Thursday in Lagos, the national president of ANACOA, DG Emmanuel, said there was need nor for interim government or military takeover of government, adding that in any election there must be a winner and a loser. He pointed out that the government has put in place measures and apparatus to address grievances of those not satisfied with the outcome of the elections, which is the election petition tribunals. DG Emmanuel advised aggrieved parties to allow election tribunals to decide on the petitions before them rather than making inciting comments which could heat up the polity.
What the Constitution says, there must not be vacuum in government, as the Constitution has said that the president-elect should be sworn in without what on May 29. Of course, we have a laid-down principle. A body conducted the election, and they have declared somebody winner. Allow him to be sworn in. While you exhaust legal procedure, you are in tribunal, exhaust your power. If the tribunal now nullify the election, then you cannot raise the ugly head. You cannot be in the tribunal and be making a cited statement, making statement that will cause violence.
And up next is foreign stories. Please stay with us.
Can you do this?
No wahala.
How about this?
A superhero?
And then
One and only JJ. One and only JJ.
This is Mitv Primetime News. Now to foreign stories. Israel and Gaza militants traded more ever fire Thursday, the third day of the worst escalation of violence in men that has killed 25 people in the blockaded Palestine enclave. Airstrikes by the Israeli army since Tuesday have killed fighters as well as civilians, including several children, said officials in the crowded coastal territory. Militias in the Gaza Strip have fired more than 500 rockets at Israel, causing no casualties so far, the military said. Of these, 368 rockets made it over the border and 154 were intercepted by the Iron Dome missile defense system, while 110 fell inside Gaza, it said. Early Thursday, shops in Gaza were shorted and the streets were largely abandoned as Israeli military aircraft circled over the territory where several buildings lay in ruins. Islamic Jihad confirmed it has lost 4 military leaders in strike in recent days, the most recent being Ali Ghali, commander of a rocket launch unit. Another militant group, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, said 4 of its fighters had been killed. The UK has confirmed that supplying Ukraine with long-range missiles it requested for its fight against invading Russian forces. The Storm Shadow cruise missile has a range of over 250 kilometers, that is 155 miles, according to the manufacturer. By contrast, the U.S. supplied HIMARS missiles used by Ukraine only have a range of around 80 kilometers, that is 50 miles. The weapons will give Ukraine the best chance of defending itself, United Kingdom Defense Secretary Ben Wallace said. They are fired from aircraft, so the longer range means Ukrainian pilots will be able to stay further from the front lines. Once launched, the Storm Shadow drops to low altitude to avoid detection by enemy radar before locking into its target with an infrared seeker. Pakistan's Supreme Court has ruled that former Prime Minister Imran Khan's dramatic arrest on corruption charges this week was illegal. The court ordered Mr. Khan's immediate release. His lawyers had argued that his detention from court premises in Islamabad on Tuesday was unlawful. At least 10 people have been killed and 2,000 arrested as violent protests have swept the country since he was held. Tuesday's arrest escalated growing tensions between him and the military. The opposition leader, ousted in a confidence vote in April last year, was brought to court on the orders of Pakistan's top judge. Chief Justice Umar Atta Bandia told Mr. Khan, said your arrest was invalid, so the whole process needs to be backtracked. The former cricketer told the judges he had been kidnapped from the High Court and eat with sticks. Welcome back. Now talking sports. Scotland have confirmed they will face World Cup finalist France in Lille on Tuesday, 17th of October, their final friendly fixture of 2023. The match at the Carlton Arena will take place 5 days after Scotland take on Spain in their Euro 2024 qualifier. Steve Clarke's side are currently unbeaten in 6 competitive fixtures and 6 top of Group A after 2 games. France have won both their Group B qualifiers since losing the World Cup final to Argentina on penalties. Didier Deschamps' side thumped the Netherlands 4-0 in Paris before edging Republic of Ireland 1-0 in Dublin and will take on Clarke's side 4 days after the return against the Dutch in Amsterdam. Scotland match against the side currently ranked second in the world will rekindle memories of a famous double over the French during the Euro 2008 qualifying campaign. And that's it on MITV Primetime News tonight. Thanks for staying with us all through the news. My name is Teresa Adeyemi. Do have a great night. Good night.